Hey guys, we're back with another video. Today we have the Crusader Spirit Q&A. So in my video about buying concept ships, I updated it in the comments below that if you are thinking about getting a concept ship, that it's a good idea to always wait for the Q&A to come out. So basically what happens is that CIG posts a thread on their forum called Spectrum, and you can post questions about the ship in that forum thread. And after about a week, CIG will release the answers to the most upvoted questions. So this is basically what people have been wondering about the Spirit series. So we're going to get into it. Okay, so first off, is there secondary entrance? Okay, so based on the plans and the designs, I could already kind of tell that there wouldn't be. The E1 has elevators that go from the first floor to the second floor, and I think some people thought that those elevators went all the way down to the ground, but I don't think there's enough ground clearance for those elevators to go all the way down to the ground. So those elevators, I'm assuming, are just between the first and the second floors. So the ramp is the only entrance. They say here there's no second entrance. Next part is it stealthy? So Crusader doesn't really have any dedicated stealth ships right now. So yeah, the ion EM signature is generated by the components. Makes sense. Now, stealth isn't really fully fleshed out in the game right now, so yeah. Can the tractor beam mount on the C1 be swapped to the remote turret mount on the A1 and E1? And so they gave kind of an interesting answer here. They basically said it is not currently planned to allow this, but as the ship progresses through the pipeline, we'll evaluate whether it's a trade-off we need to look at. Now, this is very interesting because concept ships do change between when they are first announced and when they arrive in game. So a lot of times you'll see a concept ship announced by CIG, and they will go through what they want that ship to do, what role they want that ship to have in the game. But as they develop the ship, they will internally play test it and balance it in comparison with the other ships in that class that also kind of fit that role. So basically, the biggest selling feature for the Cutlass is its cargo area, its ability to hold a ground vehicle, its firepower, and its turret. Okay, so the Cutlass is the first ship that people go to when they want to start multi-crew. When you want to play with one or two other friends, the Cutlass is a great ship to get into. Okay, because you can technically put 3 people in there. You can have a pilot, a co-pilot, and a turret gunner. So if it turns out that the C1 can benefit from having that turret, then it's something that they might add later on. So that's a good thing. Will there be different types of bombs? Okay, at launch, they're only going to support a single bomb type, and that is the size 5 dumb bomb, gravity bomb, high explosive. Which weapon system can be controlled by the pilot and which can be controlled by the co-pilot? It's a good question, and by default the pilot has control over the nose and wing guns. That's these 2 guns here and these 2 guns here. But the co-pilot has control over the rear turret, which is these guns, and the nose guns can optionally be controlled by the co-pilot if desired. Okay, so the co-pilot has control of these nose guns. when the pilot doesn't want to use them, which I mean can be handy, I guess. But we'll have to see how that plays like. Okay, looking at the stats for the freelance and the Cutlass Black, the Spirit seems to be in the low end equipment wise. Shields, firepower, cargo, defense capabilities. I mean, kind of, a little bit. I'm not sure. Again, it's a concept right now, so we're gonna have to wait until it comes out in game to see what it actually plays like. But right now, it seems like its biggest downside is that it doesn't have a turret on the C1 at least. So really the problem with the lineup is that the A1 has the turret, but it doesn't have the cargo and the ability to hold a ground vehicle. The E1 has the turret and passenger seats, but it doesn't have the ability to hold cargo and a ground vehicle. So each of them have a little bit of something, but they don't all have everything that would make them a true competitor for the Cutlass Black, in my opinion. Just like other Crusader ships, it says here the Spirit will be more maneuverable than its size would normally dictate. So basically, it's gonna have good movement, good acceleration. I mean, if you've flown a C1 in game, that ship handles way better than its size would tell you it should. So Crusader is really good at innovating maneuvering thrusters and main thrusters. Can the rear turret on the A1 and E1 fire forward? Okay, so they answered this here. No, they'll specifically cover the rear arc of the ship. So rear facing only. And this is something that I want to talk about a little bit later in another video about the changes to speed. So I have a strong feeling that because of the changes in speed, that rear turrets will become kind of more useful. Right now, rear turrets they're pretty much useless. But I feel like rear turrets will become more useful as the speed changes to the flight model come out. What about docking capabilities? No docking capabilities. Makes sense. There's no docking collar. But that's another advantage to the Freelancer. I mean, to the Cutlass, because the Cutlass has those side doors, even though they're technically not docking points. It's a good way to do boarding mission gameplay. You could leave through those doors instead of the rear ramp, and it becomes kind of like a dropship. You've got those jump seats in the back, and you've got the side doors. So for $100, it's a dropship. What kind of living amenities can we expect for the crew? Will the E1 have better living amenities for the crew? And will the E1 passengers have a separate VIP bathroom? Okay. All three variants have the same crew living quarters with a shared space featuring beds, a small kitchen area, and an integrated shower and toilet. However, on the E1, passengers have a separate toilet and shower located beneath the main seating area. Okay. That makes sense. The A2 has an option slated to swap out the size 10 bombs for a cluster bomb system. Will the A1 Spirit have a similar option? There are no plans at this time. Okay. Will it be modular? No. I I think CIG is kind of off of the whole idea of modularity because it's not a straightforward thing to implement, especially with their server tech. So I don't know when we're going to get modularity, but I don't think they're planning on releasing a whole lot more modular ships until they can figure that technology out. And I think that's a good idea. I think until they have the technology to make to bring modularity to ships in game, I don't think they should release any more concept ships that have modularity as a feature. Okay, The PDF shows the 48 SU of cargo capacity for each variant. This is probably a error. Could you confirm? Yeah, it was an error. It was a mistake. Only, like, as you can see in this photo, only the C1 has cargo. Now, in this picture, there is a clear delineation between the entrance area and the cargo area. When the ship was first announced, I thought that this entrance area was the vehicle storage area. It's not. Okay, so the vehicle storage area that they're referring to can fit a Cyclone. That's the main cargo area. So if you want to fit a Cyclone in a C1, you cannot also carry cargo. Okay, this area at the back here, this is kind of like that small area on a Vanguard. When I had the Vanguard Warden, every time you went on that ship, you had that little ramp, and then you had a door to the actual cabin. And so that this is kind of like what that area is on this ship. Again, I'm not entirely sure what Sergi is going to put here, but I don't think this area is not big enough to hold a Cyclone, basically. But I mean, if you have a Cyclone here, you might be able to fit some boxes in this back area. And here they go. They're talking about it right here. Which Spirit variants can carry vehicles and of what size? Only the C1 is designed to fit a vehicle, which can be Cyclone sized or smaller. And the E1 and A1 do not officially support any vehicles, though we fully expect players to cram some of the smaller ones in the entrance area. Okay, yeah. That's pretty much what I figured. I took a close look at some of the interior photos there, and based on the size changes, because initially when they released the concept, it was much smaller. It was, I think, about 35 meters, and it increased in size to 46. Okay, so that's more in line with the capabilities that they kind of want it to have. It does make it a larger vehicle. It does make it more, it does make it larger than a Cutlass and larger than a Freelancer. But again, based on what they're saying, it is more, you know, it's more agile. It flies better than those ships. You won't really feel its size when you're flying it. But yeah, I mean, it is something to consider now, because it's one more thing that, does it make it better than a Cutlass? Is it better than a Cutlass now? I don't know. The A1 Spirit Bomber variant has a roundish dish on top of the roof, but the specs don't show the same size 2 scanner radar as other variants. What is the round feature? The round dish on top is just a rule of cool aesthetic feature and provides no gameplay advantage. Okay. Spirit seems to be a break from the naming convention for Crusader line. Most Crusader ships are named in reference to Greek and Roman mythology. Where did the name Spirit come from? Okay, so just a narrative team. Crusader is seeing the Spirit as a new direction for the brand. Starting with the Starfighter, the company has moved away from its transport dedicated routes and is expanding into new markets. With the Spirit's multi-role functions, it is decided to leave the old nomenclature behind. Okay. It's basically just a lore reason. Okay, and then disclaimer, the answers accurately reflect the development's intentions at the time of writing, but the company and development team reserve the right to adapt, improve, or change feature and ship designs in response to feedback, playtesting, design revisions, or other considerations to improve balance or the quality of the game overall. So basically, when the ship comes out, they reserve the right to nerf it. But yeah, to me, it seems like a good ship. If you like this design, I would say, especially for the E1 and the A1 variant, there are no real competitors to those ships right now. Okay. The A2 is way more expensive than the A1. I think the A1's $175 and an A2 is like $700 of real money. In game, I don't know how much they're gonna cost, but it's again still gonna be much cheaper than the A2. So if you want to do bombing gameplay, to me the A1's kind of a no-brainer. It's a great looking ship. It's gonna handle really well, as the devs have already said in the Q&A. It's got good firepower with the 2 size 3s, 2 size 2s, and 2 size 2s at the back. To me, I feel like the A1 is going to be a great ship. The same thing with the E1. If you're interested in passenger transport, it seems like that's going to be a great ship as well, because there aren't really any other ships that can do luxury passenger transport when we get NPC missions. And the thing about these NPC missions is, yes, other ships might be able to do that, but you may be able to charge more because you have a luxury ship. You may be able to get more missions because you have a dedicated passenger ship. We don't know how the gameplay is going to be like right now. So if you have a Constellation Phoenix or an E1, you're probably going to get, you know, similar kinds of gameplay. But of course, you know, the Phoenix has the cabin rooms, and so there's the 600i. The 600i will probably be able to do passenger transport as well. But again, you know, those ships are more expensive than the E1. So the E1 is a great entry level ship for that gameplay if you're interested in that gameplay. But when it comes to C1, I feel like that's where the story gets a little bit more interesting, because the C1 has a lot more competition than the E1 and the A1. If you're comparing the C1 to a Cutlass or a Freelancer, and you're talking about real money, not in-game money, the Cutlass Black offers a lot, and so does the Freelancer, and even the Nomad. You know, I know a lot of people were making comparisons between the C1 and the Cutlass Black, but the Nomad is also a great daily ship. If you're not really that interested in running a whole ton of cargo, the 20 SCUs is profitable in game right now. You can make money trading 20, I think it's 24. Yeah, you can make money trading in a Nomad. I have done it. My current daily driver is a Nomad, and it's a great flight experience. It's a great gameplay experience. When I did the Halloween Vandal mass event, it was in a Nomad, and well, half the time was spent in a Nomad, the other half of the time was spent in a Banu Defender. But the Nomad was incredibly effective. I was able to park the STV in the back and just drive around all of the bases. So if you want to carry cargo, carry a vehicle, it's not great on firepower, and it has size 1 shields. So if you do go C1, I feel like it's going to be comparable, but the main reason that someone, in my opinion, the main reason why someone would choose the C1 over any other daily flyers is the design. I think the C1 looks great. I think it's the best looking mid-sized daily flyer, and that's just about it. Functionality wise, it, to me, okay, here's how I'd look at it. Okay, functionality wise is important, but at the end of the day, if you are looking for a good daily flyer, pick the ship that you think looks the best, because you're always gonna be able to get dedicated ships that can do better. Buy them in game. You know, if you want to, no one is gonna daily a prospector, but that's a great money maker, and that's a ship I always recommend people buy in game. But if your daily is a C1, you play the game, you do missions, and then you make enough money to get a prospector, and then you just keep flying your C1 as your daily ship. So if you are picking a daily ship, I think the C1 is a great ship to get as a daily ship. If you are trying to build a one ship fleet, basically the only ship that you ever want in the game is just one ship, which I have no idea how anyone would do that. But if you only want one ship in your fleet, I feel like the Cutlass Black is a better choice. Okay, that's just my opinion. For practicality reasons, I think the Cutlass Black does offer more, but we're gonna have to see how it flies when it comes out, because right now it's just a concept and we don't really know. Okay, thank you guys for watching this video. This is just a talking about the Q&A and basically how concept ship Q&As work. If you guys like that video, hit like. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Salute.